international law as it really is, USA over Alberta independence. And it amazes me that so many put so much into nothing. And over I see it again. This video is not going to be long. It's just going to be what is and what's America on the world stage and how it functions since World War II at an explosive rate of massive power and authority throughout the world. No different than Russia. China, second biggest power in the world. And then you see France running entirely the EU, only veto power of the EU. And then you have the UK with the entirety of the Commonwealth. These aren't accidents, folks. This is absolutely all-encompassing of international law. Again, for those who don't know, which is a pile of Canadians, institutionalized Canadians, ignorant, don't understand anything, and it's absolutely all of today's Alberta secessionists. It's funny the transition I did from 2019 till now, and I look at today's Alberta separatists and I shake my head. No smarter than the Quebec separatists. In fact, more out to lunch than they've ever been, ever in Canadian historical truth of separatist movements. And what do I mean by that? In World War II, 5 powers were bestowed upon this world with all the authority of international law. I wrote a huge paper on it, well accepted, well articulated, put through the entire global community of academia. Absolutely well received. It was number one until a cartoon from the UK government, of course, came along and usurped it, and it's completely bullshit. It's all about the League of Nations and NGOs, non-governmental agencies created in the old world, and somehow that's the epicenter of international law. It's complete propaganda, completely fake, but it usurped my legal truth paper that was an Oxford publication, meaning it's accurate. And what's really sad is, since that time, Canadians, the fastest movers on idiocracy is what I call it, the illusion of law that's non-existent in the world today. And USA is going to exploit that now because largely of Canadian stupidity. They're exploiting that because they can count on Canadian ignorance, Canadian stupidity. And it's all based off of British propaganda. So in the world of real international law, when a sub-region of a UN state wants succession, there is a process. There is a process. And that process is bound in international law. And it requires penmanship out of those 5 powers who have absolute authority over international law since 1945 till today. Yes, USA is one of those powers. Russia's another one. China's another. UK and France are the other. And penmanship means 3 out of 5 come together to make a resolution that the UN General Assembly can vote on. Do you think this is for Quebec separatists and Alberta separatists? Knowing what you know of Canada and its design, all for the glory of what you know as Ontario and Quebec, I think you can all agree to that. You can all agree to that. And when I say Quebec, that's British Quebec. Now, if you want to succeed from Canada and be recognized and be your own country in the world, recognized as a UN state, one of these sub-regions, meaning any province of the nation, the UN state recognized called Canada, passed and bound into law, absolute. You as a sub-region need to get penmanship from 3 out of 5 of those permanent members, or you don't get a vote in the General Assembly. What does that mean? That means you become a Gaza. You become so many examples, and I articulate all those in my upcoming presentation. So many examples in the world of failed states who couldn't get penmanship. We just watched Gaza not get it. USA veto. You have USA and France. China and Russia sit it out. Didn't get the 3 penmanship, and USA said no. UK and France lost. There won't be a vote in the UN General Assembly. You need 3 out of 5 to get recognition. So Alberta and Quebec, knowing you can never get France and UK, I've always known this. Only an idiot would believe you could get penmanship. There was only another avenue of penmanship. That calls USA, Russia, and China. Do you think today, with everything you know about the transition for Alberta into China's energy security, China's trade, without the signatures of France and UK, who absolutely will never release Alberta? Never. You'll never get penmanship. Do you think you can secure China so that USA can expand with Alberta out as a nation? Do you think China will sign penmanship? The answer is no, and absolutely not from Russia if you haven't been watching the news. So you have USA 1 and the other 4 none. And anyone denying that or going forward saying, yeah, Alberta will get independence with a signature from just USA alone. The answer is no, and there won't be a UN vote. Why that's important? If you're not a UN recognized nation, you're no nation at all, which means you're beholden entirely to the United States, which is perfectly fine for Americans. It really is, because it will bankrupt Canada, and Alberta will never effectually be a nation, and it will be locked out of all of its global trade, including current, which I'm okay with too. But don't expect, Alberta separatists or secessionists or Albertans, that you're going to be prosperous in this new reality if you go forward that way. You absolutely will not be determining anything for yourself. If you ever want to look at the most recent truth of this, just go look at Taiwan today in the media, where they tell Donald J. Trump, no, we won't be manufacturing half of our chips in the United States. No, we won't be doing that. No. Keep protecting us against China. Keep us independent from China, but we're not going to help with your prosperity. This is the exact truth and living reality of Alberta today. And I think all these secessionists are in for a rude awakening when they find out all of their massive growth and expansion into China, which is a huge explosion for Alberta's economy right now, at really the detriment of Albertans and their sustainable future, because they want to transition to the liberal sustainable development goals. You're going to learn all of this on Sunday in tremendous detail with hard-pressing, accurate facts. USA's mission is to protect USA. And if that means putting... Oh, I can see that sun is completely massive bright this morning. If that means putting Alberta down to put Canada down, they'll do it. And I highly support that. And it's going to be Canada, the 51st state. That is the only effectual reality in front of us, because everything else is only massive poverty and Canadian bankruptcy all around. And I hope Albertans, in their masses and numbers, wake up to this absolute truth and reality, and I hope they wake up quick. We'll do our space on X. I'm going to do a later video to highlight that, but I hope so many people watch it and tune in, because being a dummy, being ignorant to reality, and thinking that somehow you're more special than all the 90 nations created in this world since World War II, and all those who are in limbo, you're going to be any different than any of those. It's time to get a reality check. It's time you do some real work and look at every single creation, 1945 till today, and measure where you are. Alberta or Quebec, all successionists, measure where you are on that in real international law, because I don't see you in any of those successes, not as a sub-region of a UN state known as Canada, with the inability to get penmanship, something I taught for many, many years, and I was this close, and it's so funny, since 2019, Canada, and especially the Alberta government, went completely the opposite way to make sure all of that penmanship would be blown to smithereens so that you could never leave, not leave intact or in any way, shape, form, or viability in real international law. And any dullard who thinks that USA is going to quit the UN for Alberta or for Quebec or for any sub-region of Canada over their tremendous global influence in that same international system that gives them so much power, authority, and control, and economic superpower in the world today since 1945, the day they became a superpower, and the day from that day till now they exploded that on the world stage. If you think they're willing to give that up for any sub-region in North America and not secure its entirety and hold all its authority and power intact, you've got another thing coming. You're really living in a world of fantasy and unreality. America first is for America's 50 states, and they will do whatever it takes by any mode means necessary to secure that truth at the expense and ignorance of anybody, including all sub-regions of Canada. If you're that foolish, go ahead, follow the crown sworn, because I guarantee you, those running the succession movements in Canada today are all folks loyal to the crown, one with the crown. All their wealth, their education, and their standing in Canada comes from that crown system. They're not working for you. They're working against you. They're working for themselves, as is the truth of every crown loyalist in all the history of Canada. Sunday, you will be presented with the truth, undeniable, factual, evidence-based, and I will do another video when I have that link from Jonathan this afternoon to give everybody a 24-hour heads up to get prepared for part 4, the most damning and crucial reality facing all of Canada, and the only reality America must face, Canada, the 51st state, by any mode means necessary, at all destruction of Canada. They don't care, because it's at that point of critical for the 50 states of the Union. And it's important, especially for Western Canadians, to know your truth, your reality, where all your provincial governments, from the supposed right to the far left, who are all in on it, all one and the same, who all worked to destroy all of you in my lifetime, meaning I can guarantee you this, by Sunday I'm going to prove to you, before I retire, I will watch the energy of security of Canada, my home province, Alberta, disappear forevermore on the trajectory we're at, which means there is no viable future for any of my children, let alone grandchildren, and be that as it may. We're going to get into Charlie Kirk. I'm going to give a quick presentation lead off into what Charlie Kirk left us just a few weeks before his execution. A viable, real truth, a truth of Christianity, and where we see Western Canadians today who are nothing of the sort. A real monumental truth and reality based on the principles of Jesus that have left Western Canadians, all of Canada, but especially Western Canadians in their narratives. And we're going to iron that out and go through it. Yes, it's tremendously evil. Yes, it's ugly, but it's a truth you all need to know. And we're going to go through it. God bless everybody. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. Because there's nothing worse than being the village idiot, the dumbbell, the kicking can for the benefit of the elite crown, which is where we are today, which is where we've always been. It's just happening at a more rapid and expanding pace, exponential pace that is effectual in the next 16 and a half years. It will be a reality if we don't change the course we're on. And people need to know. Share, share, share. Get the truth out there. Get this video out there. It's huge. It's knowledge. It's credible, real, and the absolute truth of the world we are in, as we have been since World War II. And if you buck it, it's going to kick you. And it is kicking us. God bless. Bye now.